Hi folks, I'd like to talk to you today about suffixes. Now, if you look at the top of my page, I've put two words. I put the word friend and the word teach. Those words are just words on their own. They're going to be the main piece that we're going to change in our lesson today. We can call those our root words. The root. Just like a tree grows out from its roots, these words are going to grow out from their roots. If we take a root word and we add a little bit of extra information on the end, that little bit of information on the end is called a suffix. A suffix is an extra piece that you stick onto the end of a root word to change its meaning just a little bit. So let's think about the word friend. If I put this extra piece on the end, ship, friend would be me picturing like a noun, like that is my friend. It's a person normally, maybe a pet. When you say the word friendship though, I picture the whole thing, like our entire relationship. That's definitely a slightly different word. We took the root friend, and when we added the suffix ship to the end, it changed the meaning. It's still related because they kept the same root, but it's a bit different of a word. If we say friendly, if we put the suffix ly on the end, it changes it into an adjective that you would use to describe someone. Perhaps someone who would make a good friend would be friendly. Same word, same root, but with a different suffix, changes its meaning just a little bit. Here's the last one I could think of with the word friend. Friendless. That's kind of a bummer of a word, but if we stick the suffix less on the end, well, if I say someone is friendless, that would mean they would have no friends at all. That definitely changes the meaning of the word, doesn't it? This turns into another type of adjective. It's one you would use to describe someone. Maybe someone you were going to go try to be friendly towards and hope that you could build a friendship, so then they would be your friend and would no longer be friendless. Check that out. That's some serious suffixes works right there. Let's look at this other idea. We have our root of teach. We're going to stick some different suffixes on the end. If we put the suffix on the end, we get teacher. Well, that's me, but our little ending of looks like it took teach, our verb, something you do, and turned it into a noun, a type of person, someone who does the work of teaching. Oh, speaking of, if we stick ing on the end of a word, that can be a suffix too. That's probably a suffix you've used a lot. We can change the verb teach into teaching, which normally acts more like a noun, like I enjoy teaching. If you've done the gerunds lesson, you might be feeling like this is a bit familiar. How about this one? Teach plus able. If you read this on its own, you would say able, but sometimes when you add it as a suffix, you change the way you pronounce it a little. Teachable. That means someone who you can teach. Interesting how that root word gets modified just a little by changing the suffixes, huh? Following up on this work, a really great thing you could do would be to think of a couple root words that you have heard using different suffixes and make a list of all the different words you can come up with. For suggestions, maybe you'd like to try farm. You could use farm as your root word. See what suffixes you can add. Maybe you'd like to go the other direction. Maybe you'd like to pick a suffix like or ly and figure out all the roots that you could stick in front of it that would make sense. If you're a bit on the more experienced side of language work, maybe you'd like to look up like the 12 most common suffixes and see if you can find examples with all of them. Something really handy you can do using suffixes as you get into harder and harder reading and sometimes find words that you might not recognize anymore, is to look for a root. What if you read the word teachable and you weren't sure what that meant? Well, if you could find the root teach, you would know that it related to teaching somehow. And if you had practiced suffixes, you might know that adding the suffix able on the end means someone who has the ability to do this thing. It probably seems like a very easy example when I use the word teachable, because that's probably a word you've heard before. But someday when you're reading, you are going to encounter words you don't know. Maybe it will be tomorrow, or maybe it will be in a couple years. But if you practice working with suffixes a bit, it will make it easier when you get there. This is a perfect work if you're in the mood to make those little paper chains where you loop them together like this, because you could say all right, I'm going to do a red pen for all of the suffixes I can put on the word teach. And then I'm going to switch to an orange pen and use the word farm and put all the suffixes I can on the word farm. And then I'm going to switch to another pen. That might be one way to follow up. You could make a list, go exploring, figure out what works for you, but find a way to follow up on the idea of suffixes just a little bit. Have a good day. I'll see you around, and I miss you all. Bye.